helps apps first in the second section. I gave you on your second handout, it has some of the names of the apps that I've used. In real estate, you're going to hear the term Dirty Dozen a lot. And I asked Mary one day, I said, where's that come from? And it's supposedly from some 1970s film. Do you guys know? Do you know, Jimmy?
It sounds familiar.
Yeah, because I was like, why do they call it a Dirty Dozen? But it's referring to having all these access to people's names in your back pocket. Like you have all these lenders, you have all these contractors, you have and home inspectors, what have you. And as an agent, you're going to be constantly having to pull that list out to hand to your clients and say, here's some lenders, here's some home inspectors. And it's really important to hand out at least 3 or more and to not really lean toward one towards the other, just so they can't come back and say, you told me this person and they did whatever, So we encourage you to always have a list. So I have found to keep your Dirty Dozen list, the most helpful on my phone, somebody taught me this in the office, was to create a notes app. Your simple notes app here. If you click on my notes app, I actually have folders, and I've created an exit folder. And in my exit folder, and I can send you my list, and you can start creating your list on your phones of people. But I have, we use a particular referral for HUD homes here, so I kept that on here. I have an odd job specialist, people that need odd workers. I think I have some painters on here. So when you meet new people that you think will be helpful to your clientele, plug their information into your list. I have locksmiths. You'll need a lot of your clients are going to be wanting to look for, do you know who I can call to change my locks? There you go. You send it right away. This will make your life so much easier having these lists on your phone to just give it to them. I have a septic inspectors, pest inspectors, loan officers, home repair specialists, basics about USDA summaries of property information. So sometimes your client will be, well, what are the things that they're going to require? Well, here's a general list. I mean, we're not the know-all be-all. That's where you can just kind of refer to these types of paperwork. We have homeowners insurance list, utility sign-up list. And another thing I use on my notes whenever I have a new listing, say for, I had a house out in Northwood Villa, for example, and I was constantly getting leads on the internet, and I didn't want to, someone's phone number or something, and rather than retyping it constantly, I would create a note that had my initial saying. I could copy, paste, send. Save you from retyping the general, here's the address, here's my contact number, reach out to me. I have an app for, even when I'm talking to somebody about an app, I took a picture of my HomeSnap app. So I could send in like, this is the app you want to download or have or access, it's what it looks like. So I'm just trying to give you an example of how valuable notes are. And this is a simple app, just keeping your notes. And if at the end you want me to send you these, I'll send you all my notes and then it will save you time. Rebecca White gave me a bunch of her notes in the beginning. It was quite helpful. The other one I use is you could think of some secret squirrel word, passwords. You're gonna have to know 1.5 million passwords. You can create a simple weird word on their notes and create another note somewhere that's a little more obscure, and keep a list of your passwords, because you're gonna have 1.5 million of them. I kid you not, so have that somewhere on there. I think that was it. And if you have things that are going on in your own personal world, this is a good place to keep it separated. So I have actual folders. If you learn to use your note folders, I have stuff for my home education stuff that I keep with different notes on it. But Notes has been like my favorite app. And I'm like, it's just a simple app. I don't think we were using it for your Dirty Dozen list. So I have, like I said, I can send this to you if you want. Now, all of you said you had Google Chrome on your laptop. So I have found it's very simple. It's a lot easier when you get to your CRM. Does anybody know what a CRM is? Client relation, am I saying it right? Abigail, management?
Yeah.
Is it what it stands for? I want to say CMA all the time because we do a client, oh my gosh, my brain went. Competitive market analysis, yes. So I'll say CMA and you also say CRM. So the client relationship management, there are lots of CRMs out there. Exit provides you, well, you pay a little fee a month, but it has other stuff on it. But Exit will give you access when you become an agent, and you can pay $20 a month for it and use their CRM. A CRM is a system that allows you to track your clientele, and you can, whether they're a hot client, they're a cold client, what they're looking at, this property or that property. The cool thing is the more organized you already are with having your contact list connecting to your Gmail, for example. Mine was connected to Gmail. I have a Gmail email account. So when I came on board, they know me from Home Educating. All my stuff that I had from sharing emails to all the homeschoolers, I had all their emails already in here. But the thing was, it was able to connect to the CRM. And anytime I have a phone come through, a call, or I type somebody's new, or I plug something new in here, I pop it up on my screen, it's in my CRM. They all work together. So getting them all connected, you're gonna be encouraged to have a separate email for your account. That really comes down to your preferences. If you have some corny name, like, I don't know, Bunny152, you're definitely gonna wanna change it to a different email, right? Like, more professional. My email before I came on staff was already donna.cronin@gmail. I didn't want to change it because I had so many contacts that knew my email. And so I spoke with Donna. So I didn't choose to change mine, but mine wasn't really something corny either, So this is something to be thinking about ahead of time. If you already have all that stuff connected, it'll talk better to each other. It'll talk to your Google Calendar better. And if you get the CRM, it'll talk to the CRM. Now there are other CRMs besides Exits. And we'll probably do another class later on about that. I watched a really good video through Exit where it had the top salespersons in the country sharing their favorite CRMs. And some of them are quite pricey. Some of them can go hundreds of dollars, but they do some fantastical things, whatever. It probably took me a good 8-9 months in the business before I started learning the value of a good CRM. And I'm just now getting to where I love it when I turn it on each day and it reminds me to contact certain people. Somebody I forgot about 4 months ago that I dealt with, it popped up and reminded me. So it's a very helpful tool. And so to get that all connected, I want to encourage you to have your Gmails and have it organized. Be working on your contact list by last name and first name, or putting information about them like they work for this company or that company. Cleaning that stuff up will benefit you, especially when you get to a CRM and it transitions, because there's a whole how-to on connecting those together. So that's one thing I really wanted to talk about on that part. Then the other apps I've talked about, want to share with you, was photo apps. Start playing with photo apps on your phone. Even though we have the Matterport, which is a really cool camera system, you're still going to be using your cell phone a lot. What do we call? I can't even think of it. It's not a gimbal, but what is it? Where the things you and I bought for our camera, for our cell phones?
Not the stabilizer. Yeah, the gimbal.
Is that the word for it though? It just has a gimbal in it. But
the thing that you said moves, but it doesn't like shake.
Yeah.
The stabilizer.
Stabilizer, maybe.
Yeah.
There's different kinds of holders you can get for your phones and to do the cool videos, and you're going to learn a lot about those. So those, you're going to use your cell phone for taking pictures. But the other thing you're going to use your phone for is your advertisements for social media, be it Facebook, Instagram, whatnot. And while you might know Paint Shop Pro, we're all busy. It's just not happening for me. I just find that it's so much nicer to pull up a really cool app, and there's one I use called PicsArt, and I have it in my list. It does cost a little bit of money, but it's been my favorite one. A few other agents shared with me their favorite photo apps. If you have a different one, Abigail, you can share it. I don't know. But I think there was Live Collage, Poto, Mixgram. But my favorite's PicsArt because it allowed me to do collages, it allows me to write lettering, to do different fonts, it allows me to stick stickers on it, and there's even photographs. There's some already there. For example, I did an ad the other day that I wanted a front door on it, and it had a photo of a front door that was free to use, So it's a real simple app that I can sit on my phone within minutes. If I have a new listing, put that listing picture in there. And we have requirements as agents by law. On any of your ads, you have to have the logo that has our address on it and has Marion's name on it. So you have to have that on any of your ads. You have to have the word, your name, realtor / salesperson. Salesperson has to be on there. And of course you're gonna wanna brand yourself. So your headshots and whatnot. So keeping those on your phone and getting these apps that help you to make those really quick will make a huge difference. So I encourage you to start playing with those apps. Start looking at different ones. There's hundreds of them out there. And they all take a little learning time. So play with them. That's what I want you to do while you're working towards this. We have some other general apps. Now, not a lot of people in the office use this one. I've used it. I see my accountant next week. I'll see if it does me any good. Called Mile IQ. it tracks all my mileage. I pay a few dollars a month for it. And it does take some setup time. Like I had to explain to it when I'm visiting Kim's house, this is a girlfriend, friend's house, right? So it knows when I travel to Kim's, it's Kim's. It knows when I travel to church, when I travel to Walmart, when I travel to, you end up having to train it by saying that address is this, that address is this. Over time, once all those addresses are kind of in there, my husband, God bless him, he did all that for me. So I think at the end of the year I had over 5,000 mileage from traveling to different homes and so forth. And it will track all the mileage, and it printed them out. I mean, I have a stack this thick of all my mileage for the year, because every time my phone went with me, it tracked it. So it may bug you to have something tracking you, but it's either that or you handwrite things down. Do you do either one of those, Abigail?
I unfortunately handwrite, and it's not fun.
Yeah, well, Marion's concerned it won't count, and I'm thinking this program is meant to work for your tax consultants. I see my accountant Wednesday at 1, I'll let you know how it turns out, but I have a printout, I have all and it's labeled what the addresses were to, so I'm trusting it to be acceptable. Because we just did a really great class with a tax consultant that I think is recorded, and it was phenomenal on what you'll want to be saving and doing for your tax write-off. So
is that something we can access?
You will be able to. I think she recorded it, didn't she?
I think so.
Well,
Yeah.
it was great.
Yeah.
It was really good. And I even went and visited with a tax consultant. You might want to consider this. Beforehand, I went and missed Rebecca Demmett. Do you know her?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I went to the Demmett Accounting, and at Demmett Accounting, I sat down with the husband. It's a free consultation. So you can call him and say, I want a free one first, and sit down with him. And he does a lot of real estate agents. So he sat with me last year in December, before I even began my first year as a real estate agent, and told me what things to be tracking. Of the stuff he told me to track, I did all that this year, but then this little special meeting we had, I learned more about your office space and your deductions you can do with your utilities and all that stuff, and the percentages you need to do. So it was very helpful information. But the mileage was a big thing. Mileage is a big thing in this business, so you want to be tracking your mileage. You want to scrap every penny you can off of your taxes. So Mile IQ was one I use a lot. The Notes app, my favorite one, I learned this from Gina Korwatka many years ago. You guys know Gina. We'd be in meetings for CHC, and I would say, hey Gina, don't forget next week I need to do this at 3 o'clock. And she'd say, okay, let me tell my brain. And she would use her reminder app. Use your reminder app. Tell Siri, remind me at 2 o'clock next week. I have a closing at 3. Let it remind me a little early, not to forget something. You're going to be forgetting things, so start getting used to making it, as she said, her brain. So she would use the reminder app a lot, her calendar app, and letting it tell her when she had something important to do. So that's one I use a lot. And then of course there's the simple ones you know about, such as your Zillow, Realtor, Trulia. Another agent in the office used Measure Square AR. Do you know what she would use that for, Abigail? If it was for maybe
I'm
conversions?
Is it for
It was something Rebecca was
measuring your
using.
room?
Well, I don't know how you would use that on your phone. I know
Unless you just
we're
walk
encouraged to
around
buy
the-
these tools
Yeah, I think it does that from your phone.
from your phone.
You have one of those on your phone. You have
You
a
think we do?
yeah.
You
if you go,
should.
if you open your phone and
There
you
you go.
swipe down and you take the measure.
Well, she
there,
called it
that looks
Measure
like that.
Square AR.
Scott has a lot of
It comes-
one on
Well, then you girls check that out, because when I first came on, these are what we're told to get, and I hold them on the wall and they take the measurements of the rooms. I thought maybe she was using this for something to do with acreage or something. We all learn those for your lovely exam, but then you really forget this stuff. It's not used in every day. Those math problems you're gonna deal with for your
Yeah.
exam. So anyways, that was one of the apps she had suggested. She said List Picks was something to do with listing, but it had poor reviews. I did not use that, so I can't tell you much about it. Again, this is to encourage you to look around, play with those different. You can even Google top 10 realtor apps. And be playing with what they suggest. There's just so much.
Right.
Somebody told me they use Video Music for getting their free music to connect to their home videos. I Googled, I forget the term I used, but there's a word for it when your music is free or not. I can't think of the word, guys.
I don't know.
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
It's when it's not
Like copyrighted.
copyrighted, yes, thank you. There's different ones you're allowed to use and that are free for that purpose. Sometimes they make you note them. I use something called Ben's Music or something with some of my YouTube videos on my YouTube channel. So if you go to my YouTube channel, you'll see like the log home I did last year. It will say under it, music came from Ben's Music or something. So you have to give them credit or something to that effect. But she used some app called Video Music for free music to connect to your stuff. And then after you become an agent, you're going to have a lot of other apps that are going to go on your phone, like Dotloop, which you'll learn about that later, and Exit Realty, which is my CRM, your business card. There's a few steps to getting your business card on your phone. And I remember it being challenging for me at first. Do you remember being challenging? But it's on there. But when you get to that point, we'll learn that part. Super key and your Yes MLS. So the point of this was start organizing your apps, start searching your apps, start reviewing them. Like I said, Google best realtor apps even, and see if you find something new, and then bring it to the table. Share it with all of us. Let us all help each other out. If you find some really cool app, like the measuring one. Totally unaware of that. Okay, we're gonna move on from that. But that was all I had to say about smartphone helps. I mean, some people like to organize their apps into those little squares. I think I keep this one, for example. Everybody's different, but you definitely don't want to be standing in front of a client and fumbling. So figure out your system, where you think you want to keep things, how you want to keep it organized. That's my encouragement. All right, we're gonna go to the laptop setup real quick. We are at 9:18, doing good. I wanted to spend about 15 minutes on that. All right, so if you already know this stuff, we'll move quickly through it. But you open up your browser system, and we're going to talk about the toolbars real fast. And this is the part that I shared earlier, that some agents were just keeping tons open at the top, and I don't want anyone doing that and wearing your computer down. That just makes it run slower when you do that. So we'll type in one of the common ones that we're going to go to eventually. We're going to be going to woodcountywv.com, the very first one on my page I gave you. And I'll email this to you guys here in a little bit, because these are all hyperlinked. And then if you decide to sit down at home and organize these things, go ahead. You would have all the links to go ahead and start putting them in a folder. But what I want you to do is to put that one up on top, the woodcountywwestvirginia.com. This is where you'll go to get your Ds and tax tickets for Wood County. And I'm just showing you that one. There's going to be, if you're doing a Ohio agency, it'll be a different website. I have also on here Ritchie County offices. You probably know of some other ones from where you were an agent. Weren't you an agent somewhere else in West Virginia?
Down in Charleston.
Yeah, so you might want to go ahead and grab those when you make your list and keep them in a folder, so to speak, to get to those websites, so you don't have to keep searching for them again.
I don't know if we have any of that still, but I'm sure you can find it real quick. So
Yeah. So my point though, what this was about organizing your toolbar. So when I have that at the top of the screen, then there's the little blue star at the right. If you click the blue star at the right, you're gonna see the word folder below it. If you don't have, and this is where I would create a folder. If you click that down arrow, you'll see choose another folder. Do you see that so far?
I'm sorry, what did you say now? Once you click this blue star, what?
You're gonna click the blue star. You will see the Wood County, West Virginia in the name. Then below it, you should see a folder word.
Right.
And then click the down arrow for that and click choose another folder.
Okay.
Once you choose another folder, you should see another screen, and at the very bottom it says new folder.
Mm-hmm.
I'm encouraging you to click that new folder and create a folder called Exit. Now, some suggested folder names for you would be, I have another one called Home Shoppers. I keep my MLS stuff on a different folder when I'm Realtor, Zillow, all those things, because all the home shopping you're going to do for somebody isn't always going to be on the MLS. You're going to have for sale by owners. So you're going to have a lot of times you got to go to Zillow and so forth. So I do another folder for those things. I have a folder for social media. I'm just giving you the names of my folders. I have Exit, Home Shoppers, Social Media. I have Morningside Academy, that's my homeschool. So my homeschool stuff. So if you have things for your kids or their school stuff, I would keep that in a different folder. My kids on the YMCA team, I keep stuff like that there. I have Home Life, which is where I keep all my personal banking ones. And I have Career Plus, where my Spruce School was at, where my Honduras one, you know, anything in my CompuCram, all those types of things are in the Career Plus. So I want you to try to think of ways of organizing your bar where you can have these drop down bars where you'll keep all these saved and it'll leave your nice bar at the top, a little more streamlined. So if you create the exit folder, then you save it there. Now it should be a nice little folder on your top bar called exit. You click that, it'll be a drop down menu. And what I'm telling you to do would be to some of these sites later at home, you could do all this and you could have all these websites. I'll email this, like I said, so you can use the hyperlinks, save you some typing time.
Yeah.
So that one's there. The other thing that I want to talk about, because I'm back at the top of my laptop setup, was your document organization, photo organization, social media. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. It's about encouraging you to clean up your folders. How many of us have our photos screamed everywhere, our documents everywhere? Spend some time, especially your photo ones. I keep, I have my photo folders. As an agent, you're gonna have headshots. You're gonna have your logo stuff. You're gonna have, if you happen to do other art things, like I have a Cricut machine, so I have a folder for that. I have Wana stuff I do for my church. I have my own personal family photos. So I have these different folders set up to organize that information. So I wanted to encourage you on that part, to clean up your photos, your photo organization. Same with your doc organizations. Now, one of the things I've done, you may not like this part, but a client will call you, you get something really quick, and you need to go straight to their folders, and you know how you go through 10 steps to get to a folder. I actually put a client folder on my desktop, just so I can go to it quicker. If you don't know how to do that, you can always talk to me later, but I keep my client folder, and in my client folder I have a folder hot, cold, and warm, where I will throw stuff in those lists of the clients I'm working with. Again, my point of it was use your folder systems, you know, keep them however you want to, but organize them, clean them up. I spent a good few hours about 7 months ago, because I had so much stuff from years of homeschooling. I had stuff from CHC, I had stuff from Classical Conversations, and I just cleaned my laptop up.
That's what I'm sitting here thinking I've got to do.
Yes.
That is a disaster.
So that's what I'm saying, and it will help you so much, because when you're going to be so busy with so many other new things, that I wish someone had sat with me and told me this. So I hope you don't feel like this was a waste of your time. I'm really hoping this will just make you start thinking about these things to clean them up, because I really think they would have saved me a ton of time. So be thinking about that, your social media organization, your photo organization. So this is more of a to-do list than it is. I'm not gonna sit here and explain to you. I know you all know your folders, right? And if you don't, you're gonna learn them real quick. But clean those things up. So I gave you a list of common linked to web addresses, some of the smart, helpful apps. And now we're gonna do one of the things you're gonna learn to do quite often, and I want you to practice with, was gathering your tax deed information. My husband showed me a few of these tricks. I don't know, there's, you know, you're stop that for a second. There's different ways of accessing this information. One of the ways is to go down to the courthouse and give them a few dollars each time. I think there's a number, Marianne mentioned. Do you have a number for them?
So what it is the office has, each Lake Realty company has their own office number, and you're allowed to take that number and go to the courthouse and use that number. I've never been able to properly execute it that way. The way that I do it is just through my phone.
Yeah, well, I had to go down there for one deed only, physically, and the lady just got it for me. She didn't ask me for a number. She didn't, you know, it's the public records, you know, but this particular home had been built in the 40s out in Lubeck, outside of city limits, and they had one owner, and their deed was just not on here, you know. I mean, it was recorded, but it wasn't in their system on here, but it was down there. So I had to go down there and physically get it. But the majority of your deeds you'll be able to pull up on here. So I want you just to look up your own deed. You're gonna go to the online services, and you're gonna go to document inquiry, and think of an address or an individual's last name. Are you seeing that, Jessica? So I want you to go to online services, down to document inquiry. Kim's already been through this. He used to be an agent, so you're the one I know this is different to, the most. And then up there in the individual box, you could type in your last name if you own your home or your mom's home or something, or and you should be able to pull up. I'm gonna put my last name in here, Cronin, and search. It will pull up a ton of different Cronins. Now, another quick tip on this is to go up to those boxes. See the blue box at the top where it says marriage, license, birth, death, will. Unclick all those and just have it pull up deeds. Do you see that? I'm gonna have it redo it again.
Yeah, but you only got a couple listed there, so, I mean, it's, you weren't married or born.
Oh, I had to go up and redo it again there. So you should be able to find, so I want you to find some sort of deed. I don't care whose deed it is, but get a deed to pull up. You'll see it'll have the word deed, and then to the left it'll have the word view. So it has a document type down the center.
You have 2 deeds. No, you have 1.
So when you click on the view part, this is the thing, I don't know if you'll know how to, this might be new to you, I don't know how you copy deeds, but I wanna share my little tip on how I copy deeds.
It's been so long.
Yeah,
Okay. So click the word view. And you'll notice it's quite large and on the screen and whatnot. I go up and I flip it right 90 degrees. See how that is? Everybody with me?
Yep.
I wish I had on screen, I'm sorry. So you're flipping it right. And then I take a screenshot. Does everybody know how to do screenshots on their computers?
No.
Print screen?
Oh,
Okay.
I know how to do print screen though.
Okay, so you should have a print screen button somewhere on your laptop.
No, it's
Oh.
Ours is beside the delete button.
Did you find it?
Yeah.
So if you click that, it should like mine makes it.
Do you hit control print screen or?
Well, I don't think I had. Mine's. I have to hit function. Sorry, I have to hit function. My other laptop, I used to hit control. That's what's screwing me up on this. But if you turn it right, if you angle it right, then you're able to get the whole deed there and be able to take a screenshot of it.
Okay, screenshot,
Keeps going away from me.
and then you have to paste it into the Word or something, right?
So you hear mine click like a
Yeah.
picture, and then I grab a rectangle and I create a rectangular JPEG, so to speak, of this image.
Yeah, mine doesn't do that. I hit print. Oh, there it is. Alright, I'm gonna hit,
So when I hit it, this whole thing comes up, and I hit rectangle, and then I go back. So what does yours look like?
if I hit print screen,
Okay, you gotta hit function print screen. Maybe that's what you need to do. Your FN. Nope. Maybe yours is control then. See, my other laptop was control.
alright, so let's do this again. Control,
Nope, that's not it either. There's gotta be some way for your computer to let you print the screen to take that photo.
golly, she wrote yes.
So play around with that part, because when you start getting them, then you'll save them in a folder, and then I'm gonna talk about how you can rotate them back and that sort of thing. But that's been my way of getting them. Did you have a different one? Did you pay a $3 fee each time?
I didn't hardly even get into it, cause I just kinda got my license and then we moved up here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was really
Like I
weird.
was like, just.
Well, in order to list any properties, you have to have the deeds, the requirement in your office, so you gotta get this deed. And it helps, like I have a client right now who doesn't have the deed to his house, and we discovered that. So he's having to get a quick claim deed from the other owner.
So that's like
Keeps
an
you listing
MLS
property.
requirement to list it, or is
I
that
don't know
like
if
an
it's, I would think it's exits requirement, yeah. But it saves you from anybody ever saying, getting all the way to
So-
closing and finding out they didn't actually own the property.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh, that would be atrocious.
Yes, and
It's
that
just
can,
amazing to me that info is just not locked in
Nope.
for the whole world to know.
and it's all public records.
What size does this print at? As 8x10?
It will eventually, I'm gonna talk about that in just a second.
I have nothing.
I don't know either why yours isn't doing it.
Mine's not doing it either.
I've got it,
Mhm.
yeah, I've got
Yeah.
that, but
So
the
like if
function
I hit
button's not
control,
working with it.
Yeah, it goes
mine is
away,
not
yeah.
either. The function or the control, mine, the little pop-up
Where's your
window
print
that
screen
comes
out
with
here?
it.
Mhm.
I had no pop-up window.
So I would think.
Well, no, I mean, like
I'm
mine, when mine pops up the
just gonna
deed,
do it on the screen.
and I hit print screen, the
Oh.
pop-up window goes away.
Oh,
The deed goes away.
nice. Going on.
Like right on it or
Nope, like the. I have
Do
nothing.
you have anything to suggest over here?
The only way that I've been able, because I think, I don't know why, but like with my laptops, it's sensitive to the courthouse's website, kinda like Cural's is doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
So the only way I've been able to successfully print off the deed is by using my smartphone, taking a screenshot of
Screenshot,
it
yeah,
and
that
then printing
makes
it.
sense.
Oh, okay.
Easy.
Well, maybe that's what you'll have to do then.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What
I've
did
been
they
doing it
do
on here
here?
for a long time, and this is like my third laptop, and all of mine have done it, so I don't know.
Dave did
Yours
something,
work?
that's what I did.
No, he didn't.
You take a picture of it with your phone right there.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
well, if you take a picture of the computer, it gives you those little streaky lines in it.
It's not that anybody else is gonna use it, it's gonna be here in our records, it's more about making sure we know they own the property.
Yeah.
And Exit knows they own the property, and we have something to document it.
Yeah.
So no one's really gonna, so if it's not 100% like super legible, it's not like the lawyer's looking at our deed.
So
Even-
some deeds aren't like physically recorded though, right? Like in the class I was talking about, people would just have it at their home or something like that from.
They could, you just need to get a copy of it then, if
Yeah,
that was the
that's
case.
crazy.
But when you're gonna wanna make sure you get all the pages, cause you know some of them might be one page, some of them might be 3 pages. And this is where I don't know how it worked in your phone, Abby, but we came into where I use Adobe. Adobe is
What if you just
gonna
print
cost money.
and then saved it as a PDF?
Would've been a nice mess.
Why is it asking you to do a password? Do you have to have a password to be able to print
The
from this page?
password is supposed to be the real estate's office, courthouse, county, that number
Uh-huh.
that you're supposed to take when you go down there.
Mm-hmm.
But I've tried to put in that number like a million times and it still
And
won't.
no one's ever given me any training on that whatsoever.
It still
It was
won't register.
the first time the other day that Marion said, "Did you have a number?" And I'm like, "You have to understand, when I came on board here, pandemic hit." You know? And I think Donna would say, "Oh, we thought we talked this about." Like, no, I didn't have that. It's just kind of got messed up. So there's lots of. That's why I feel bad teaching any of this, because I'm so new.
I wonder if you could find a way to print, you could print to OneNote and then save from OneNote
I
over.
don't know. I mean, mine works just fine, so I don't understand it. I mean, and this is my 3rd laptop I've been using this year, so all of them have done print screens for me.
Yeah.
I don't know. Interesting. But anyways, I would print the screens from there. The other thing you end up having to research, so play around with learning how to get your deeds. Figure out what's gonna work for you, because you're gonna have to get deeds. I hate for you to have to pay $3-4 each time. When it's just a matter of us having it for our personal records.
If you can't print it from your laptop, just take your cell phone and
Yeah,
screenshot.
that
Yeah.
seems
Yeah.
easiest to me.
Even
Yeah,
if
that's
it,
probably
even
what
if
it
it's
is.
got streaks in your picture on your phone, you basically, like Donna said, you basically just need it for the office's record.
So
It-
that's
it
just
doesn't
going
have
in
to
a
be
file
perfect.
here then.
Right, yeah.
And she has a checklist that we have to use to get our stuff listed. Other offices, like I went to a meeting the other day, they plug their stuff in themselves.
Yeah.
Our office, we have an admin that does it.
Oh, so somebody does that.
Yeah,
Okay.
so Donna and Keisha,
So you gotta make
do
all
all
the
the MLS
checklists
stuff.
before they'll do it.
right, and they give you this nice standard checklist that you are checking off with all your things to make sure you have everything in it. If something is not in it, you need to explain what the problem is and talk to her about it. Cause there might be an occasional, can't think of one for example right now, but
Like if the personal property page for like the washer and dryer, the refrigerator, they may not have that ready. They may be shopping for appliances, they may be discussing if they wanna take their appliances with them to their new property. So sometimes that page in your documents, whenever you need to do like a listing, sometimes that page won't be ready. So that's just one of the pages on the checklist that you can mark, this page isn't ready yet, will be ready by tomorrow at noon, stuff like that.
so there's some things they'll give you some leeway on it, but they're really big about that checklist, and she won't, if she doesn't like what you gave her, she's gonna hand it back to you. You're gonna get good
The
at
deed's probably really important on that list.
yes,
yeah.
deed is a requirement. So like I have everything ready for this one listing but the deed, and I'm waiting for them to figure that out, But I'm glad that it caught me, because I would hate to be a person that did that and
Could you imagine?
got it all the way to closing. And I mean, you shouldn't get all the way to closing. I mean, if it was a cash deal, you could. If you weren't doing a title search, it's a possibility. you know, but, so, you know, I think it's smart that our office is trying to protect all of us from that humiliation and issue to occur from selling or buying perspective. Anyways, so the other document you're gonna be getting besides a deed all the time, if you go back to the Wood County, West Virginia courthouse page, you'll see online services. And this is my least favorite one anymore because they just changed this. That's what you're gonna find too. So like every time you turn around and you start to get to know one of these pages, they change it. But the tax inquiry, and this the other thing you have to submit besides your deed is the taxes. Because when you go to closing, the lawyers are gonna wanna know how to prorate it. They're gonna wanna see the tax sheets and stuff. They're gonna be figuring all that out. You wanna know it was paid. You wanna know the approximate amount. When you go to your MLS, you have to put in there the taxes so that people, when they're looking to purchase the home, can estimate and figure out whether their loan will approve it with those taxes rolled in to their payments. So there's a lot of reasons that people need to know the taxes and the amounts. And then there's also times that the property is a rental property, so the taxes are naturally higher. And you'll see that in the MLS, an agent will write in the broker's comments, please note this was a rental property, therefore the taxes are higher. So you'll get more familiar with that as you move along. But we gotta find the taxes. So again, I want you to search for your taxes. If you go to the search bar, the search button there, you'll say text name search. This is the most common way. Not everything's gonna work this way, guys. This is why you get to play with this. I'm telling you to play with these two sites, deeds and taxes. I typically click the circle real estate for the tax year. I leave that clicked, the circle. You scroll down. This page is funny about scrolling down. You sometimes have to click your little mouse key in it and then hit your down arrow. And then I type in my last name in the box at the bottom and see if any Cronin tax tickets pop up.
It's the one time you're glad your name isn't like Smith or something. Or it's the one time having the last name Erlandson comes in beneficial.
Oh, mine's very missing. Now you'll see the little chat box down there. There's plenty of times I've had to chat with these people because I can't find somebody's tax ticket. Use them. Tell them you're an agent. You need to find this tax information. Tell them what you're struggling with because there's lots of this website with this Titan stuff was all fairly new. Wouldn't you say, like the past year? Because it was something different before, wasn't it, Abigail?
Yeah, it was something totally different.
Totally different.
I still can't even.
Yeah, so we're all struggling with this new system of searching.
They have that drive-through window too. If you ever actually have to go through, you don't actually have to go into the office. You just go through the drive-through.
I wouldn't have to drive down there for a tax ticket, thank the Lord, but I have had to talk to these people down here and say, I can't find this person's taxes, you know, on this property. And they've had to help me. So right now mine's still spinning, is everybody else's still spinning?
Yeah.
See, I think their
Mine's having an issue
website
with their
might be
website.
having an issue, that's what I'm thinking is the problem.
Mine won't even type. It leaves text name search there in blue and won't even let me type.
They must be having a website issue.
Yeah, I think they're having one, we're all hitting it and it's like, oh, there's too many people on it.
Yeah. There's 4 people. It's too
I'm gonna do
many.
that. So,
Okay.
is that the page you went to? Did you go there?
No, I scrolled down.
Okay, so on this page, you'll find that you can't just scroll down, you have to kind of click in here
Or do the arrow.
and then do the, but I click real estate and then scroll down. I don't know why it's not that way, and then type in like Bennett there. But mine's still not popping up, so I'm thinking they're having a website issue.
Yeah, it's not doing it.
Well, I wrote all these steps out on the putting into practice to print a deed, to print a tax ticket. The other common thing you might want to get familiar with besides this website, I'm going to give you one more bar to go to. If you go up to your toolbar, type
You wanna do this one? Go ahead.
this one. We're going to go to mapwv.gov. Okay, then I want you to go to interactive maps. Do you use this one a lot, Abigail?
Yes, I do. I really like it, and I really wish that Ohio had. I'm sure Ohio has something like this. I just don't know what it would be called, but I do use this a lot for West Virginia.
I use this one a lot too. Your clients will really appreciate it. Now, you know, again, as with everything in real estate, you are not the be all end all. You don't want to sound like what you hand them is, you know, positively the floodplain map. You know,
Right.
so you want to share where you got your information from and share it with them. But it helps a lot of clients when they see that, wow, the flood line is just 2 feet from my house. And don't be afraid of that, because I've had clients that didn't bother them that they were in a floodplain and they still. But then you want to talk about where's water insurance and where you can go get flood insurance and how much it costs a year. And I think the FEMA one is $500 a year. So when people hear that, they're like, oh, that's it? It's like, yeah, pretty much about $500. So that's the federal water insurance you need to have for floods. So it doesn't necessarily discourage somebody, but you know, who doesn't want to know they're going to be in a floodplain? And I say that because even though, you know, 9 times out of 10 people are borrowing the money, and therefore it's going to be obvious that they need to have that insurance and stuff, but there are cash buyers out there. And when you're dealing with a cash buyer, they don't have, this isn't something they would be told by somebody, and you're a helpful agent now because you've shared with them a flood tool map that showed you might want to consider some flood insurance. But anyways, you get on this page, there is the West Virginia flood tool, but it's also helpful for seeing stuff, and that's what I want to show you. Go down to West Virginia Property Viewer, and you can save that as a separate page if you want to. I just tend to go to map.gov because I use the flood tool above as well as this one. If you click that one, and again, I want you over the search by the 911 address. You see that on the right side?
Mm-hmm.
You with me, Jessica? All right, type in your address if you want. Hit search. This will help with getting parcel numbers as well, parcel information, where the lines are at. This is also helpful, like I had a house right over here on Morningside Avenue that had 3 parcels. Even though you just saw the one little house, it actually had 3 little parcels that came with it, and all 3 were being sold with the property. So I was able to print from this page a nice little map picture that I'm going to show you how to do here in a second, and have that in the book that laid on the bar at the house. So when people came in, they saw that where the lines were, because there were some funky ones behind the house. Yeah, so it's a helpful tool for that too. So you use this a lot. Why is mine not coming up? There we go. All right, so did you find your parcel? Got a little picture of something like this, right? Okay, now if you go up to the base map at the top, and I like to use the ESRI imagery one. Do you see the ESRI imagery?
The first one
It says street on it.
is,
ESRI imagery. You know, go to the left and go down.
oh, I see.
I like to use this one because you see the houses and the grass.
Oh,
Do you see that?
Yeah.
That's the one I like. Do you have a particular thing you like to use, Abigail?
I like to use the one we're on. Yeah.
The one we're on too? Yeah. So when you get that, you can kind of move your screen around a little bit to where it's sort of center, where the blue, where your parcel is. You kind of want to get it sort of centered, you know, up here, where you can see the whole thing. So make sure you can see it all before we get to this point. So when you have it to that level, you see the parcel map, you go up to the word tools, and you go to the word print. This is not going to physically print on a printer, so don't worry. When you click print map, is everybody with me? Am I going too fast? You click print map, it's going to be thinking.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's thinking, and it's going to give you this download. Now, the one funny thing I've discovered doing this website is that if I want to go to a different parcel map, for some reason, unless you know some different Abigail, it stays in there, and I have to literally leave the whole website and come back and do a different parcel look. It won't down, because it says it remains for 10 minutes or something. The download does for that particular one it just printed for you. And if you hit the download button, you're going to see a PDF image pop up on your screen like this. And if you scroll down that image, you're going to see the information about who owns the parcel, the address, and stuff like that.
Well, that's a nice one for giving somebody that.
It is, and that's where when you print that object out and put it in your notebooks for a listing, it's just an extra piece of information. You can even put them up on the MLS for people to see, you know, for getting an idea where and so when I did this for the Morningside Circle House, because this is just straight over, she had 3 of these, and I had to show that all 3 belong to this house. So you want to play this. This one was helpful for, especially if you're looking and you're trying to understand where's that creek at on the property versus the barn. You know, it gives you that nice, that's why I like the ESRI imagery one. But there's lots on there, as you saw. Lots of different views available in the base maps. Now, if you go back to the floodplain one, let me try to go back to the floodplain tool. If you go back to the map, wv.gov, and scroll up to the West Virginia flood tool, I mean, we probably could give the address to this building. What'd you think? I bet we're in the floodplain, some level, maybe.
Possibly.
Possibly with the river here, you know. Well, that's Ohio, duh. I don't know. I had a few addresses. My last home that sold that was in the floodplain was in Vienna, because you know how they have those little cul-de-sac pipes or whatever going through, like right beside Applebee's.
Mhm.
All the homes that are next to those down through Vienna, a lot of them are in a floodplain. Yeah, so you wouldn't think of it as a flooding area. But my last home, she's officially in a floodplain, and she was a cash buyer. So she was buying her own insurance. Nobody would have told her if it wasn't me sharing that with her. And she's like, and she kind of wondered because she could see the creek.
Mhm.
And I'm like, actually, you are in a flood zone. And even though it's not flooded here for decades, this is an area that will, you know, because of that little cul-de-sac thing. So using the flood tool, you'll see all the disclaimers they put on there that they're not guaranteeing this. This is why you want to be doing the same thing. Talk to somebody more official than you on the matter, but it's a little extra help. I'm going to type in my address. You see the address bar? And I didn't leave the address.
Where is the address bar on this?
Are you in the West Virginia flood tool?
Yes, launch map.
Yes. Sorry, I skipped that part. Launch map. So when I pulled up my house, it says location is not within any identified flood area hazard zone. Unmapped flood hazard areas may be present. You know, that's where they're doing their little disclaimers, you know. Things could have changed. Are you in a flood zone, Mary? What are you typing up there? I see all that red.
No, I typed in my mother-in-law's because I know part of the land is like near a river, so I was
Yeah,
curious.
is that, well, that red, it usually is a red zone. You'll see a red zone.
So 664 Butcher Bend Road in Mineral Wells is the corner of it is in a flood zone. I know because we looked at
So
buying
let's
that
look at
house.
that one up.
Yeah,
660.
664 Butcher Bend Road in Mineral Wells. The very corner of it hits a floodplain, and that was one of the reasons why we chose not to buy it.
I'll see that. And that's what I said, sometimes they will, but you know, yeah, see how it gives you that nice big old red section there. And so I had a house recently that I was showing a client where this was literally, there's a house, there's a pool behind the house, and there was a deck, and the red line went right behind the deck. So it's quite close, you know, but officially they didn't have to have insurance because of that. But again, another helpful tool. So I wanted you to see that. So had you been able to, on my little list here, I had one more thing here to talk about was, I personally use Adobe a lot because I have a lot of documents like the deeds and stuff that I will have different screenshots of them and they're organized funny, and Adobe lets you take PDF documents and reorganize them. I have found with doing our programs here, the contracts that we do have pages and pages to them, and sometimes you only need page 10. Sometimes you need page 15, or sometimes you're editing one and not the other. Adobe for me is a program that allows me to do a lot with my PDFs, whether it be changing, organizing, and again, this is a tax write-off. So if you end up getting down the road and decide you want a program that lets you mess with PDF documents, I highly recommend Adobe. I had my husband, I'll email it to you. He sent me a link to how we do ours, and it was an annual fee. He bought a key to something for like 25 bucks. So there are cheaper ways. So don't look at the $400 tag. I think that's what you gotta do to get Adobe. But you might wanna start playing with Adobe if you have PDF documents to play with and learn how to organize, change your pages, move them around. It's something that Donna must be using too, because they do a lot here when they get our documents. She can piece them together and take them apart.
Mm-hmm.
But Adobe's a familiar one. And then I wrote down here, self-training to practice. I'm gonna encourage you guys, YouTube, go on there, look at the exit videos, look at realtors. There's quite a bit on there, TED Talks. Get motivated, hear tips and strategies for gaining leads and whatnot. Do you have any special ones you want to share? Okay.
Off the top of my head.
So, social media training, I'm telling you, there's just so many, I mean, I'm old, so to me, it's still, you know, I'm just sitting here thinking, I know that people use TikTok and other things, I'm not totally unfamiliar with a lot of these programs, I'm sure there's 50 more out there, there's MeWe now, and I don't know if they even do businesses on that, but you're gonna wanna learn this, because that's the way you're gonna get your leads. My last 3 homes that I dealt with selling came from my Facebook advertising. Literally, the person sent me a private message, asked me about some programs, I helped them get connected with some lenders, and then we went and house hunted, and then they bought. And so spending $10, $15 on an ad has been so worth it for me. The old way of doing real estate, and I don't mean that to be rude, but you know, they would use the magazines. But millennials aren't reading magazines. I mean, y'all know that. They're going to social media. They're using their phones. So you got to get savvy with it. It's a whole extra layer of learning that nobody warns you about in real estate, I don't think. But I really think it's necessary, and we got to spend time on it because you're now marketing yourself. I think that's about everything I have. And I like the little quote up at the bottom where it said, obsess about the process, not just the results, you know, because you're gonna have times when you're down and times when you're up. Like right now I am totally down. I've had 3 listings I've not been able to get, not for any fault of my own, but I lost these listings for various reasons and I'm really bummed. But I had like 6 or 7 in December, and so now I'm at a lull, and everyone's like, it'll go like that. And so during this time, all I'm doing is focusing on my actions, focusing on getting better at my CRM, focusing on my Ohio license. I'm going to take my exam here in a few weeks. So, you know, just be a self-teacher. Be looking for things you can improve upon, and watch these training videos and stuff, because this is going to depend on you more than anything. You gotta want to be it. That's it. Anybody have anything else to share? Okay. I did it in an hour. But my next one I think is going to be social media. Does everybody think that'll be the one they want to know? Some social media stuff like on the calendars, the business suite. Do you use the business suite for Facebook?
I do and I don't. It comes and goes for
Yeah.
me.
So I like have my advertising planned out by months. So a lot of people think, gosh, Donna must be on Facebook all the time. I'm not. I just have it planned out. So I'm going to teach a lot of tricks on using that business suite to your advantage. I have a couple videos coming up today for I did some interviews, and I'm here with you all, but I already had them planned and they're on the thing. So you're gonna have to, they sell things like social media calendars. There are lots for realtors even, where they'll even give you the pre-made ads and stuff. But honestly, your more personal stuff gets more attention than any of the I mean, I get less clicks on a pre-made thing than I do my corny personal ones, and I hate it. I hate doing it. I really do, but I know if you read the little trails of the clicks and stuff, the engagements, they're huge on my personal ones versus this cute little ad I got for free that I threw up. So this is the way it is. And it's awkward for some of us. I don't like doing it. So.
You touched on calendars for a minute, like you said something about your Google calendars and stuff. Do you suggest, we use the Cozy calendar, the